Good evening, everybody. Welcome to welcome to Scars to Stars. This is Scars to Stars. And for the first time, we are live in the evening with our special guest today. She's an awesome woman. She's somebody that has blazed the trail for so many women. She is multifaceted, multidimensional. She's somebody I personally love because of the way she has transformed her life. She's a role model I use to every other woman, particularly the younger ones and the generation coming next. She is a mother. She's an absolutely beautiful wife, wonderful wife. Her husband is a wonderful man. She is a pastor. She's not just a pastor, she's a prayer woman, an intercessor. She's operating the prophetic gift. And she swayed out of the pulpit and she went back to school. I'm going to leave her to tell her story. I'm not even going to tell her story for her. She went back to school and she rose to the point, today they call her doctor. And she came back to the pulpit to help bridge between the marketplace and what Christianity ought to be, which is relevance, which is enlightenment, which is transformation. Today she's in the education space. She's a life coach. She mentors, and most importantly, she honors those that have gone ahead of her. Tonight we have Dr. Nelly Kangwa, and she's here. She has started so many things, and today we're going to be asking her at the end of this, what else is she starting? So Dr. Nelly, welcome. Good evening. How are you?
Sir, how are you? I'm fine, and how are you?
I'm blessed. I'm really honored to have you here today.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored too.
And for you, normally we go out to interview and sometimes we come in studio and do some things, but we thought we wanted you to be uncut. We wanted you to be totally live, unedited. So tell us, why would somebody describe you thus far with so much honor ascribed to you? Who is Nelly? Yesterday you were on television, on Camnet. You are everywhere. Who is Nelly and what's about this woman?
Okay, this young girl, Nelly, it's basically where her life started from. I think that's where everything starts from, for where she is today. Growing up in a home of a pastor, growing up among 6 boys, came number 6. Of course, there was a lot of drama that was taking place in the house. I watched the men. I watched my brothers have differences, and within few minutes, they've actually gotten over it. When I go amongst the people that look like me, they'll take a month, still keeping grudges and everything. So I was wondering, what is really going on with people that look like me? At a very tender age, I would always be in hospitality. In other words, I'm the one to bring water to the visitors, tea. And somehow I think my parents forgot that I was there. I would just be lingering around and listen to a bit of stories being told. I saw a woman more like she's disadvantaged. That is a picture. I'm young. So I want you to look at this young girl. She's somewhere 8 years, 9 years, and I'm observing what is going on. This girl was once very beautiful. She was in the choir. My dad has married them off, and then all of a sudden, after 4 or 5 months in marriage, she's crying. She's come to the pastor and she's crying. And I'm like, why is she crying? So I've got to linger around to listen to the story. And it all had to do with how bad marriage was, how the husband had done this and had done that. And I'm like, what is this that is really going on? So I remember really bothering my dad. I remember I was 9 years old. He finished ministering and I followed him in the room they used to go. I stopped the elders from going into that room. And I remember telling my dad that I wanted him to change me into a boy. Wow. How on earth could he have all 6 children and their boys, and he chooses me to be a girl so that I can suffer I can be abused, I can be going through what I was observing at that particular time. And I remember my father that time, you know, handed me a book, an old book with a pen, and he said, Nelly, I equally don't understand a woman, and I would love you to ask God, why did he make a woman?
Would you please just give me that book?
Yes.
Because he gave you pen and paper.
Yes.
And you wrote the book.
And that is where I started penning down. I think I can remember that it was from the age of 13 when I could actually decode the voice of God, because my dad started training me on how to hear God. And by that age now, I came across one scripture in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. It blew my mind, because I then realized that a woman was not an afterthought. But that was what was transpiring in the area where I grew up from. Like, God was like, okay, you know, I've created human beings and they are men, and then let me now, create somebody who has. That was the picture. That is why for few years, you know, after so many instances that I observed, I hated being a woman. And until my father introduced me to God, and when I came in contact with God, oh my God, he started revealing to me the power that he put in a woman, and what a woman needed to do in order for her to become the best version that God meant. And that is how some of the things I've penned in that book, which are called The Make of a Real Woman.
For those that would like to have it, The Make of the Real Woman.
The Art of Manifesting Womanhood in the marketplace and in marriage. In that order. You know, where a woman has to first and foremost, you know, get her purpose. She has to understand who she is before she says I do. Before she puts the ring on her fingers, before she changes her surname. It is important for her to understand. And of course, after that, then I started appreciating being a woman, because then I understood that actually a woman was lacking understanding of the power that was invested in her. So that's where it all started.
I will think that this you have just said you learned later on.
Oh yes.
But at the beginning, you didn't know this knowledge.
I didn't know.
Regardless of how you were encountering God.
No.
So this is about 13. And what happened between 13 and your birthdays a few weeks from now? What brought us into that space where today you're an author, you're all what you are, which we are going to look at. Did you choose to be a pastor? Did you go to school and finish and say this? Please tell us about it.
No. So when this was going on, I then started seeking. Like, I want to really find out this so that I can help others. I was young, but
because you saw the pain.
I saw the pain of what other people were going through. I saw the pain in the church. I saw my dad preach powerfully. People were in poverty. People, you know, it's like the picture of what he was talking about when he read the Bible. My dad was an apostolic, and he was amazing. My mom, every time before she passed on, she used to say, whenever she watched me preach, she was like, oh my God, this is just the Father who has resurrected in the way I do things. What he was describing in the Bible about resurrection and what Jesus did and everything was not actually tiring with what I was seeing. So that was troubling me. So it is that pain which met passion. And when I started pursuing this passion, that's what now started creating some solutions. So it didn't happen in Tana one day. It was day after day, this search to understand who I was as a woman and wanting to become the best that I needed to become. Those challenges, they started helping me to actually seek more, to want to be this that I read in the Bible. Because when I read, what I was seeing, what I was and what other women were was totally different, and that's what I started seeking. So
what was your 13, you are going into 15, what was your education like? What was your educational background? And what informed that?
So you go to
because you're a leader, so I'm looking at your leadership timeline.
Exactly.
I'm trying to trace your leadership to see what are the things that brought you to this level in leadership, and if somebody is watching, that person is able to say, okay, I have a roadmap to get there.
So I'm young. I could trace myself, or my parents, I think, could stress that there was something unique about my life. We are starting grade 1, and when we were starting grade 1, because our parents sometimes didn't know our ages, so they told us to be doing like this, like you've got to reach your year, then they will say you are 7 years,
yes.
ready. Then when I managed to register, because I'm tall, okay, then when we were going back home, I realized that some of my friends were not accepted, like because they were short, but they were same my age, some of them even older. I came up with a trick. Okay, I said, okay, let me help you. I changed the jersey, I changed the clothings, and I went and I mentioned my friend's name. And I was like, I'm this one. And then they registered. I managed to make about 3, I think, or 5 friends of mine to be accepted in grade 1. There is something that is going on here. Whenever I was in class, I always volunteered either to carry the books for from the teacher, to rub the board. I always put up my hand. The teacher would be like, Nelly, and I'm like, yes sir, if you are choosing captains, I'm the captain, choose me. It's like at all time I wanted to offer help. I wanted to do something. And then another thing that I also trace back, now that I do the things that I do today, which I wish my teachers would have picked that time and probably helped. That's why I'm big in education now, because I was a natural trainer. I always participated in debate. I always wanted to talk, but I wish I was helped to package the talking properly. But it was not properly packaged because there was no curriculum where they would help these children who are coming up with, things, just dreaming things. I'll tell you another thing that took place. I was 13 years old. There was a competition that was taking place in the church. And so there was memorizing the Bible. Yes. And at the age of 13, I remember this vividly. I memorized the whole book of Esther. The whole book of Esther. I memorized. Everybody clapped. The 4 people that came from Canada, they wanted to carry me. They wanted to take me to Canada. According to my dad, of course, it fell off because my dad was saying I was going to get married to a white man and I was going to forget and all. But my dad told me later on that they said I've got a unique brain and they wanted to take me to a school where there was such type of children who memorizes 10 chapters non-stop and all. But in my environment, they simply clapped.
So what you're showing us today is that it is not just about your uniqueness and giftedness, it was your application.
Exactly.
Even from an early age.
Yes.
Your application to assert yourself, to exert yourself, to show who you are. And you knew who you were, so you put it up.
I put it up there.
And did that take you into secondary school? Did it take you into university? Did it take you into... I know the story, so I'd like you to show us, because does leadership just happen? Does it just happen because you are not?
They don't just pick you and they say you are a leader already. No, you've got to be assertive. So another incident took place. I was 17 years old. I was ordained. My dad, believed in me, and he saw that there was a gift. So he ordained me because he was a leader in the church. He ordained me. Unfortunately, after 2 years, he died. So he died when I was 19. A few months later, I was disordained. Now, that incident that took place could have gotten me down. I remember talking to these leaders.
And why did they disordain you?
Because they didn't believe that a young girl can be in the fivefold ministry, and also that a woman actually, because there was no woman.
So there was basically discrimination.
Yes, there was discrimination
because you're a woman.
Yes, because in the entire region, there was no woman who was actually preaching. Okay. But because my dad, every time he would want to preach, before he preached, he first gave me an opportunity to say something. And so that's how I learned. I remember talking to these leaders that they had now disordained me. I asked them a question. I said, is it that I shouldn't be preaching just here, or can I preach somewhere else? And that for me is very important, because when they told me, it was within the Baptist, boundaries. Anywhere else I could preach, anywhere else I could reach out. And I started pitching up, little steps, like just a step with planks at markets. And I started preaching the word.
At 19?
At the age of 19, 20. So in other words, I'm trying to answer your question. When it comes to leadership, you have to still show up. You've got to be intentional. Even when challenges come, I was not bitter with those people, because they were simply following the rules, of engagement. Yeah. Just like those daughters of Zelophehad in Numbers 27. Yeah. The rule was that as daughters, they were not supposed to. Yes. But they went before Moses.
That spoke to power.
Exactly. They went before a leader, and that leader spoke to God, and God changed some rules there. Yeah. So in other words, when there's something upon your life, you don't just sit and think somebody is going to appoint me and find me in my corner. You've got to be assertive. You've got to forthcoming. And that's exactly what I did. And so throughout my education, I always volunteered at Scripture Union. I was always in leadership. When I was at North Mid Assemblies of God, I was in the choir, not just in the choir to sing, but also in leadership. I led the choir there. I did a number of things. So everywhere I was, I wanted to participate, to serve at the most, just to serve, so that as I'm serving, something is growing inside of me.
So you came through and you went on to becoming, from school, you went on to becoming...
When I now finished, that's when I was now doing pastoral work. Okay.
So you've been doing pastoral work, you didn't go occupation?
No, I went into nursing.
So you went into nursing.
Yes, I went into nursing.
Why did you go into nursing?
This compassion. I felt I'm called to help people. And so in that search, you don't know what you're supposed to do. And so the easiest place you can find yourself, it is where it is speaking to your heart. And so I found myself in nursing. You'll be surprised. When I finished my education, I was asked what I want, which department I wanted to work in, and I said intensive care. Wow. I always wanted challenging things. And so throughout, I only worked for 6 years, by the way. I worked in intensive care. I always wanted what was challenging for me. And
you're still taking on challenges?
Yes. And within 6 years, I knew this is just a passing by. I'm just passing by here.
So could you have gone through nursing, based on the general stereotyping, saying that women should be nurses?
Exactly.
And you found that you are not a nurse?
I found that I'm not.
Even though you loved people?
Even when I loved people, that's why I couldn't last. I was there briefly, and I saw that, of course, I'm doing God's work, but it didn't give me fulfillment. It didn't give me that satisfaction that this is really what I'm called to do. And that's how I just one day got my bag and I said, this is not for me.
Tell me about, did you get married at all? Or you just wanted to help the world?
No, it was difficult for me to get married, because at that particular time, marriage was not even something I was thinking about. I had brothers who were really very protective, and they made me feel like, a queen, I was a princess. And so marriage was not even in any way in my mind.
So men were treating you right. Your father celebrated your gift.
Yes.
Your brothers honored you and protected you.
Yeah, they did.
So you understood what it was to have a real man, to have real men around you.
Exactly.
And you were not looking.
No, I was not looking, because I think I was so fulfilled around them.
Okay.
I was fulfilled around them. They were very supportive. And even that's the way they live their lives. I found myself being with men was making much more sense, because they were logical. They discussed football, they discussed politics and all. Then when I found myself around women, it's like there was gossip, there was this, and I'm like, I don't think this is really right. So I found myself really gravitating towards my brothers and hanging around them and all that. Then my husband happened. I don't even know how it happened, but I found myself, I was in love with him. We dated for about 3 years and got married. I was young. I was only 23 when I got married. I didn't even know. He was older. He's about 9 years older than me. So he was more mature than me. And I was like, oh, so this is marriage. The next thing I'm pregnant. So what am I supposed to do and everything? So it was a learning curve. And I'm so grateful, to God for giving me such an understanding husband, because I've been a very zealous woman, wanting, things to be done. And he's been very patient with me, a foundation in my life, pushing me to become the best version that, I'm still pushing to become. Yes, I'm still
after
becoming.
nursing and
So
marriage?
so now after marriage, I remember having a meeting with my husband that I wanted to have children within 7 years of our marriage, that at the age of 30, I did not want to have any children. And we agreed with my husband, and lo and behold, when I was 30, I had my last born son. And I went and I said, okay, this is it. Now it's my time. That is how from that age I started now pursuing education, adding value to my life, adding few certificates.
So in the last
diplomas.
21 years, you have been building yourself.
I've been building myself.
And what have you achieved in 21 years?
Okay, so in 21 years, apart from all the nitty-gritty certificates, I've achieved...
Don't leave it out.
There's just several, all these certificates, I can't mention them. They, these are things like, you go for a workshop, and you are given 1 month this, you go for another workshop 6 months, you've attained this. But I think majorly I can mention masters. I've done masters.
Why did you go back to school?
I had to go back to school because
to get a degree, to get a master's.
Yes, because when I looked at what I wanted to become, I realized I needed to match up.
At what age were you going back to school?
At the age of 30, back.
You were going back to get your
get back now my theological degrees.
So you went to get a theological
degree, and I began now to build myself so that I can become this that I'm actually looking out for. And at that time, I was thinking, I think let me venture more into just pastoral, because that was a field that I was very comfortable. But I realized that as I was there, I had this inclination to really speak to the marketplace. And I saw that for me to be relevant in the marketplace, I need to also get myself glued into the marketplace so that I can understand how to speak into the marketplace.
So women should not look at themselves, or anybody at all, should not look at themselves one-dimensional.
No.
They should see themselves as transcendental. You are changing, you are becoming.
Yes.
So it's not a human being, it's a human becoming.
Yes.
There is an evolution.
Exactly.
And when your mind begins to appreciate new things, you become new things.
Yes.
So you move from lay preaching to nursing, and you went into theology thinking that this is you, and you had wailing women, which you're not telling us about, and you guys used to wail.
We used to pray heavens.
I used to go everywhere around Zambia, raising prayer altars.
Yes, in all provinces, I carried groups of women. I used to gather a lot of women, thousands of them would pray in different, places, and would go to provinces, all the 9 provinces. At that time there were only 9, and would go there and raise altars to the Lord, just to dedicate, different provinces to the Lord.
So how did you transit? Because sometimes people are very unforgiving, and they say you're a pastor, you're this, how come you're this, and maybe you're looking for money and as it goes. So what informed the transition to going back to school, getting your degrees, getting a master's degree, having the honorary doctorate, and not stopping there? You are still now you've been learning. You've gone to do NLP, life coaching, and you're a practitioner, and now you're even leading people into doing MBAs and just that educational space. So what informed this transition, yet you're still a pastor at Liberty in Christ?
Okay, so when I looked at how effective I needed to become, I looked at this young girl. I had to go back. I looked at Nelly at 7, 8. I was an A+ student. And then I saw that what I was at 30 was not matching up to the girl that I was. And it was that which started pushing me to get that Nelly back into where she needed to be. And that's how I began to upgrade myself in education.
Right.
Yes, get myself into different levels. When it comes to getting into in the marketplace, I realized that if you've got to be effective, you need to understand also the earthly laws. So if you have to just be at church and pray, like you were saying, okay, Mrs. K, you like praying. How much money have you made after praying? You know, prayer has got its place. I also realize that after you've prayed, what have you done to bring that wealth that we're praying for? Because you've claimed the money, you've prayed all the scriptures. Now, what is it that you're doing? I realized I needed to really upgrade myself so that I can match up, because I'm a destiny rescuer. I'm a destiny shaper. I love transforming lives, but I was limited.
Well, you used to prophesy then. Why didn't you continue?
Just prophesying. I realized that even up to now, I prophesy.
I know that.
You know, I prophesy. Except this time when I'm prophesying, I apply that prophecy. I give it application, and I give it direction, without just saying it the way it is coming, and this is what God is saying, and then what does the person supposed to do, and all. So now when I saw that, as I was in the church and so rich in the word, I needed to have another aspect so that I can balance my life. Hence pursuit in the marketplace, the pursuit in getting the education, so that when I'm speaking to the
So you had to
CEO
learn the language of the marketplace. To
yes.
be relevant.
To be relevant
and
to the marketplace.
In the marketplace.
Exactly.
So you are saying that Christians are oftentimes speaking a different language. The language in church, by the way, there's no money in church. The language in church, somebody think, I made a mistake. There's actually no money in church. Money is in the marketplace. So you had to go and unlearn and relearn.
Yes.
To be relevant to the marketplace.
To be relevant, yes. So that today, if I'm in the church, nobody can actually lie to me, because by the grace of God, I'm still learning, but by the grace of God, God has helped me to understand His Word. He has helped me to understand the revelations. When I get in the marketplace, nobody can lie to me, because now I know how to do a business proposal. Now I know how you can build a business. Now I know. So when I'm speaking to people in the church, I am telling them, look, calm down. Yes, you are a believer. You've received Christ as your Lord and Savior. We'll be celebrating Good Friday, His resurrection. Praise God, He did it on the cross. Question is, what are the benefits of His death? What are those benefits done to you when you look at your life? Now have got to, when I get the scriptures from the Word, I now apply. In the marketplace, this is what you're supposed to do.
Help me here. And this is talking to you.
Yes.
Your story, because you are now, if you like, kind of a contradiction. Because you're in church and they tell you this. By the way, most of the time, and no disservice to the church, but a lot of times we put our women in boxes.
Yes.
And all we teach them is how to be
good wives.
And everybody wants to be that beautiful spiritual alangizi and all that. But you are saying, I need women to come out of this space and come into the marketplace.
Yes.
And why is it needed? Why is this not enough for that woman?
Okay.
That woman, and I'm sure you taught that. So you taught that. How come you are teaching the marketplace now?
Okay.
Is it not a contradiction?
Okay.
Is this woman not meant to be, there's always an Adam for Eve and things like that, so that everything we look for, going for praises, prophecy, is husband, wife, I want to be a wife. And when you are not a wife, you are not happy. Society makes you feel like you are less, you are stigmatized, you are not respected. Even no matter your achievement, they still look at you as not good enough. Because and now you are saying, church, we need the marketplace.
And that is why the premise of the book is the art of manifesting womanhood in the marketplace and in marriage. So now, That is the same question I had when I was growing up. I realized the reason why a woman was being abused, or why she abused herself, it was lack of understanding of what God intended for a woman. And so when you look at marketplace and you look at what we are teaching in church, the two places are not different. Okay, it's just that we've created these walls and we think this should be different from this. God himself said to male and female, be fruitful, multiply. He is not talking about marriage. Fill the earth, subdue, have dominion. Okay, what are you subduing? Marriage? What are you dominating? Marriage? No, God is talking about purpose. He's talking about the reason for existence, why we were put here on earth. We are supposed to dominate. This has nothing to do with being called Mrs. There is no husband in the picture there. And God is speaking to this male and female, and both of them. And I think for me that was a scripture that changed my life. When I realized that a woman is also supposed to dominate, when I realized that a woman is supposed to be fruitful, and fruitfulness had nothing to do with having babies, because that's what we were being taught when we were growing up. Like, when you grow up, you must have children to be fruitful, to fulfill the scripture. Fill the earth, have 10 children so you can fill the earth, when it is actually speaking to so
women
purpose.
should seek self-actualization.
Exactly.
Not marriage.
Not marriage. That should not be the agenda. Marriage comes in. Marriage is important. Okay, marriage is important. It has its place, and we are not here to diss it. No, marriage has got its place. But what is marriage if you are going to be messed up there? What is marriage if you are messed up?
Freedom.
Yes, you are messed up, and you even start messing up the other person. Because what I believe is that when you have that self-actualization and you become an asset in the husband's life, that man will respect you.
We've been talking to a lot of assets this year. I like your description. An asset is something that appreciates in value over time.
Exactly.
And we've been talking this month to so many women that are assets, not just to their families, but to our nation.
Yes.
So every woman has potential that can be actualized to be seen as an asset.
Very true. Very true. And that comes with value addition. That is why the Bible, it talks about, when it comes to, fill the earth. How do we fill the earth? This book, I haven't been to...
and that's this book.
Yeah, this
correct?
book. I haven't been to Australia.
Every woman, please look for the book and just Google her name. You'll see her there. And all her social media handles are there. And you can get that book. Yes, please.
I haven't been to Australia. I haven't been to different nations, Germany,
but
and
the
all
book
that.
Has been
the
there.
book has been. That's feeding the earth. You know what has happened? I've added skill. I've added expertise to this thing, this one thing that God has given to me. And so I've filled the earth.
In marriage, you didn't lock it up on a pulpit.
My
you are
brand,
still maximizing
exactly. My brand is not Mrs. My brand is Nelly.
I like that so much.
Yes.
Because most women define themselves as Mrs.
No.
And they lose themselves in that title.
In that title.
And achieving the title Mrs. is not an achievement.
It's not an achievement.
It's what somebody confers on you, but you haven't achieved for yourself.
Not at all.
So without that, you feel you are nothing. So you are saying there's much more value, and your brand is not MRS.
No. That is not the brand. This is why even those that follow me on social media platforms, even the post that I put up today, I was saying that, look, why is it men have been in the game, for years in the market? I think we need to learn from men. We don't see men littering around our photos. I don't see my husband, writing about this beautiful wife, this what everywhere. But women, that's what we do. In our brand, we bring in our private...
So they shouldn't do That's not a good thing. I'm sorry, man.
Men don't do that. You won't see... Men will write about their wives on the birthday, when maybe she has finished school, she's earned something. It will be maybe in 1 year, you'll find that maybe 3-4 times. That's when a husband would, on the post, like on social media platforms, say, oh, my wife, this is her birthday, congratulations, celebrate and all. A woman would wake up on Monday, talk about this king of the castle. On Tuesday,
Well, don't you teach them to do that? Is that not what you taught them to do?
No. Of course, I know there's a Alangizi thing, but even that is basically an exaggeration. Alangizi are not teaching women to be all, to start living this life around a husband. That is not really what is being taught in there. Of course, there is emphasis to say, look, your husband is a stakeholder. And as a woman, remember that when I was having a discussion...
Are you sure they teach that your husband is just a stakeholder, or your life revolves around taking care of this person?
They could be such type of
because
teachings.
A lot of limits on women is cultural.
Yes, there could be such type of teachings and all, but I think we are evolving. And the narrative is changing.
I like that. So yes. The narrative, I take that.
The narrative is changing. When a woman is being taught now, I would love to get back to when I said that I had to talk to my husband about when I needed to have children.
Yes.
It is very important for every woman to understand. A man, when he wants to go for a scholarship, he'll just come and he'll say, tomorrow I'm packing, I've got a scholarship and I'm going to the UK for 2 years. Me as a wife, we have to have a meeting. Even the mother has to be involved, the grandfather has to be involved. So in other words, the way a man runs his world is totally different from a way a woman runs her world.
That is the inequality in culture.
Exactly.
That is the inequality in society,
and that
we need to come away from.
Exactly. And we cannot change it just by overnight. So because we are still transitioning, a woman must be sharp enough, very strategic, to understand that in order for you to progress career-wise, you need to bring your husband to the party.
You need a partnership.
Yes, and your husband has to understand. You've got to have he has to have a buy-in into your career. This is why when we had this discussion with my husband to have my babies within the 7 years, it was a discussion, negotiations took place.
So women must learn to negotiate strategically.
Be strategic, because you need to know that at the end of the day, this man, even God, when he placed man to be the head, it is not a job.
Can you break down for somebody that, because those are big words?
Yes.
What does it mean to be strategic? What is being strategic?
Okay, being strategic. Let me just give an example. So when we get married, so I have my firstborn, child and all. I'm not immediately talking about how I want to stop having children. I begin to throw to my husband my aspirations.
So being strategic, having a big picture view of life.
Exactly, of life.
And you have something you're aiming for. You're seeing the big picture.
Exactly.
And you're navigating, how do I get from here there?
Exactly.
And you're negotiating.
And I begin to talk to my husband. Whilst I'm doing that, remember that I'm actually in full support of his vision. I understand his vision, and I'm there cheering him in his vision. I'm, contributing to his vision. And as I'm being a supporter, remember that I'm being strategic, that when I bring my own of the things that I want to do, he will support because of what I have done.
So that is being strategic.
Being strategic.
Understanding the how to get
exactly.
there.
Because when you are in support of your man and you have, you've understood his vision, when you are bringing this thing that you want to do, somehow automatically you will come to the party, because he's a stakeholder. He has to be part of the journey.
He's a stakeholder because he will see the value.
He'll see the value.
He sees the value you bring.
Exactly.
He sees the value he's becoming. He sees, because you are showing him that.
You're showing him that. And then when you are succeeding, you better know that you are still a woman. You haven't changed. The fact that I'm in the marketplace and I'm a director, I'm in the marketplace, I'm a CEO, it hasn't changed that I'm a wife. So that is why when I'm talking about the marketplace, when it comes to a woman, and I call it boardroom to bedroom.
Okay.
When you...
Is that in the books as well?
No, that is the next book, yes. Okay. How then do you transition? You were this CEO, this director, and men were bowing. When you come home, your husband is not those men. It doesn't matter he doesn't have money. It doesn't matter, he's not working. Whatever is happening, that is being strategic.
So a man is not a man because he has money.
No.
A man is a man because of who he is.
His position does not change. His position. Women should not confuse roles. and position.
I think we're having a women's empowerment talk right now, and we're losing sight of. I don't want to lose sight of because you are now coming into your space, and I should be saying.
You can see that I'm preaching.
Preach, mama, preach, mama now.
And bring an offering.
You know. So unfortunately, they'll take offerings here. So you need to get back in the marketplace. Now, if you look at that.
Yes.
Before we lose that. Show me the things you are doing now, because you are doing very interesting things.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I cut short the crusade, but
no problem.
I need you to show what is it you are doing now that this evolution and transition has birth that would never have been if you stuck in the box.
All right, so I founded an organization called Women in the Marketplace. It's got two dual things that it does. There's Women in the Marketplace branding and Women in the Marketplace foundation, which the foundation is the one that actually brings about more empowerment. And this because I don't believe in handouts. Okay.
Absolutely.
So from when I started, having money, I started investing in skills, helping women to be skillful. So I started helping them to do tie and dye, to do tailoring, to grow mushrooms.
So you didn't wait on an offering basket?
No.
Marketplace was real for you.
Marketplace was real for me. So even if I was really the pastor, but I think I found more fulfillment in compounds. I used to go in compounds to enrich these widows, teach them skills so they can look after their grandchildren, their children, help them to, upgrade themselves, not by a bag of meal, not by a packet of sugar, but empower them with a skill that will take them to another level. And 20 years later, as I've been doing all these things, that particular organization with the things that I was doing, that is what caused that is what caused the United Nations to recognize the work that I was doing.
Tell me that award.
Yes.
That was a brilliant award. You went to CSW and you received this award.
Yes.
That was about 3 years ago. How many years ago?
2019.
2019.
Yes.
Tell us about that. That was an award that, how many Zambian women have won that and recognized for their work in the marketplace?
I have no idea. I think I need to research.
You need to research.
I need to
that means to your knowledge,
yes.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that
so
award.
It's basically, whatever you do, God has got an eye. Nobody, many people may not actually see what you're putting in. And these things I used to do, I began to do this when I was doing nursing. I had no car. I would get my salary. From my salary, I would now start, identifying to see how many women I can help at that particular time. So I did some work in Chipata compound, in Kapanana, in Linda compound, just upgrading their lives. We even started supplying mushrooms to Pamozi Hotel, grown by these women. And as those things were happening, helping these women in different compounds, and I identify the work that I was doing.
They were seeing your work and the significance.
Exactly. And that is how I was, given that award. It's a chairwoman award in entrepreneurship with the things that I was just, bringing to the table. Now, when I was doing that Women in the Marketplace, I realized men started coming to my meetings. Men started coming to workshops where I was training these women. And every time, whenever I was giving certificates, it read Women in the Marketplace. That is how I sensed that I needed to start something different, and I said Project Life Design. Project Life Design looks at an individual and begin to improve this individual's life to help brand this particular individual and brand their businesses, so that at this time now I've grown. I'm not just dealing with the community. I'm now tapping into the international world. So I began to realize that, you cannot just be a local champion. It
didn't just happen overnight.
No, it didn't happen
you
overnight.
Progressively climbed into different spaces.
With different networks, that I was having as I was networking with other people. I began to have relationships with people beyond Zambia. And I started hosting trade missions. I started bringing women from different countries and hosting them to, B2B, like having these conversations, to have, with other women. Yes. As that is happening, I begin now to help these people, not only women now, because Project Life is not just about women, also men, to internationalize their brand so that they can actually equal to the task. We are now, before COVID, it's like I could see this time. You have to place your business, at an international level. And at an international level, because now you've got to understand that when we get into the global village, we are now in this, Internet of Things. Yeah. We are in this. Someone ought to be ready to match up with what is going on. So Project Life is basically a company that helps you to challenge your life. You've got to challenge your business. You've got to step up. So I say that your highest success, is your lowest accomplishment. Okay? And so if you've reached here and you're like, whoa, so I got an award, like, wow, that is my lowest.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is what Project Life is all about, to challenge you to increase capacity, because there's so much potential. So you can reach New York City and you're in the UN building and you think you've arrived. No, I didn't know that there was actually more over my life than me just sitting in that UN building to get that award. And that's what Project Life does. It is through most of these things that I've been doing that now I'm in partnership with a friend of mine where I'm the senior vice president for Flexiland Disruption International, which is an organization that has put up online career enhancement program online, with the platform that just speaks to online career businesses, programs, to help and challenge a student who's in grade 12 not just to look for a job, but to develop that inherent gift, so that your pursuit should not just be, I go to university, then I go and study, then I start working. We are challenging, and so we are getting into partnerships with universities where this particular program, it's got about 5 modules. And when a child does, a youth does that 5 modules, oh my God, it's somebody who is going to challenge the status quo. He won't just look forward to start a job, because now you've spoken to the inherent gift. And recently I was appointed as ambassador for Zurich Elite Business School. This is a world-class university. To do an MBA at Zurich Elite Business School is $58,000. Now it is at $2,500 for African students. This is an amazing university. And the thing is that you are not just going to be trained by an academic professor. Industry, because we've realized that in Africa there is a lot of talent, and this talent is sitting idle, mostly just to have a paper. Somebody did masters and has a paper, but you are not master in anything. So Zurich is now going to challenge the skill. The moment you finish that MBA, your skill has been developed. Your business, because when you are writing your thesis, you are not just writing a thesis to impress the supervisor. It's a thesis that is talking about your business, like a business proposal. And the good part is that the good proposals will win grants. Now, these places, I'm sitting on the tables with such high-profile people. That is what this journey has done. It never started just ta-na, and I'm there. It's been one day at a time.
And one step led you to see the other step.
Exactly.
If you didn't take that step, you will not see
I wouldn't have seen the other step. And it's been being intentional. I've been intentional in everything that I'm doing. I'm always challenging myself.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I come away from, so you've enumerated to us what you are doing and all that. Now let me look at, if you looked back now, what qualities would you say got me here? What qualities? What should I look internally and say, I need this? What qualities have brought you this far?
Okay, so there's something that is very unique about my life that I've identified and other people have seen. I've got a childlike spirit. And I emphasize the power of mentorship. I remember, maybe you've forgotten this, I remember already married, I stopped work, and my husband, his company was liquidated in Deco Estates. And so we found ourselves with no job, so the 2 of us, but we had 3 children. And I remember you sat us down, we had a house in North Mid, and you sat us down to give us advice, to say, look, it was a suggestion. It was not even advice. To say, look, this is something you can do. Why not put that house, because it's in, you know, in a good place, on rent? Go and live in a medium cost house, and so that whatever half that comes when the rentals are paid, you are able to do whatever. You have no idea how that suggestion helped us to leverage. I think we moved from that place for almost 5 years, and it was because my husband and I, we are good when it comes to mentorship. When we are looking up to somebody, we listen. And that is an attribute. I usually tell those people that look up to me to say, look, if you want to be mentored, you need to have an ear, because the person has walked the road. And when you go before them for advice, you need to know that you are the one who wants advice. You are the one who actually gains more. And so there's so many things that you actually, you know, taught us, that some of them you've even forgotten. The things that you helped me. When you spoke to me about Wailing Women, it was a powerful ministry, and you said, Nelly, what you're doing is very good. You're doing a powerful thing. You are praying and everything. Why not look at this other thing? Why not develop yourself? You have no idea that the marketplace, you know, inclination or spark for me to really get my head in, you are the one who inspired that. Because for the first time, and I'm not lying, for the first time I saw a pastor who was not just a pastor, but you were good in business. That helped. The other thing is also my spiritual mom. I've got a spiritual mom I've worked with for over 20 years.
Mentors, having somebody you're accountable to.
Somebody you are accountable.
I don't want to use spiritual mom, because somebody may not say, I don't have spiritual.
Okay,
I'm not even spiritual. But the role that beautiful woman plays in your life,
yes.
You're accountable. She tells you, sit, let me not tell your story, you tell.
Yes. So I'm married, and I'm this zealous young lady, prophetic, who knows, you know, I know that I know and all. And I meet this woman, and you know, we talk. So she's my mentor. And when I narrated how I spend my day, how I spend my week and everything, the first thing she said, Ned, you're doing it wrong. I need you to go and apologize to your husband. I'm like, my husband hasn't complained. He says, but you are going to be caught up very soon. This that you're doing is not right. And I want you to go and do this. Let me tell you, that was the beginning. I was only, I think, about 5 years, I think, in marriage. I didn't even know I was doing wrong things.
So you had mentors in different areas.
Different areas.
And you were very accountable.
Yes.
Even till now.
Until now, because I haven't grown. I'm still learning.
So
and
you have
this
to have
woman,
that childlike attitude.
exactly, that childlike attitude, and she has helped me to balance my home, to understand that even when I'm getting successful and I'm becoming, the place called home has its own place.
So the language in church is different from the language in the marketplace, and the language in the market different from language at home as a wife.
Exactly.
And a mother.
And a mother, because when I get home, I'm this woman who everybody was listening to, and I'm this leader, and I'm this exalted person,
child coach,
mentor, and
coach.
Yes, and everybody's applauding, everybody's clapping for me. When I get home, I take off my heels, I fold my sleeves, and I'm in the kitchen. I have to pay attention. I've got to be there, even if I contributed to the food, because some ladies would say things like, I'm the one who bought the food, why should I be the one to cook? The thing is, when God allowed me to be exposed in the marketplace, He didn't forget that I'm a woman. He knew I would be married. He knew I'm a woman, and therefore I must have hands on. Even when you are outsourcing, you know, you get a helper, still I don't lose my touch to my home environment. I'm accountable, because if anything is not going right, my husband knows who to tell. And because of the respect, I think I want to emphasize this. If you have a mentor in your life, this is somebody that you look up to, it is important to respect what they are saying. Because if you don't respect, you will find yourself, you know, actually making mistakes and going through a longer route in life. By the time you look back, you'll be like a needle without cotton. You are sewing, you look back, your home is messed up. In your career, you've really succeeded, your career ladder is just, happening, but you look at home, it's a mess. And so that is why it's important to have mentors in your life, and not just mentors, like many people say, you are my mentor, but I don't even know them. It's not about mentorship where you just assume. Do they know you? Do you sit to listen to what they are saying? You used to tell me, do you read? Do you read books? And I remember it was like a punishment. You'd make me read 2 books per week. 2 books. And when I finished reading, you asked me, have you read? Yes, sit here. And okay, so you finish this book. What is in this book? And I would go through. And my mind started expanding. That is mentorship. That is true mentorship, because whatever it is that I was told, I listened and I obeyed and I acted. So I cannot actually, this is why I'm so grateful in my life for mentors that have walked in my life, because what I am today, if they never walked up into my life, I don't think I would ever
Tell
change.
me, talking about mentors, something you did a couple of years ago was celebrate the fathers.
Yes.
And today you are celebrating the mothers. It shows us the value. And not many people do that. I don't know 2 people that have done it. At least we see it. Recently I saw something, you're bringing all the church mothers and you're bringing them together.
Yes.
And you're hoping you're taking them to a spa at an exotic place.
Yes.
And you want them to have a discourse amongst themselves. What informs you honoring these mentors, fathers, mothers? What informs that? And this is happening what date?
On the 17th of April, and that's my
By the way, it's
birthday.
open. That's your birthday. And you're going to be 50.
51.
Absolutely wonderful.
Though we are not counting 2020.
No. Okay. Now, if you look at that, not many people will do that. By the way, before I miss that, it's open to women to be
To
part
men
of it.
also.
So to men also. So people, please locate. Just put Nelly Kangwa, Dr. Nelly Kangwa. You'll find everything there. I think you should go. By the way, it's my first time of talking about things like this on Scars to Stars.
Okay.
But I really appreciate that you are one person that stands out to honor the people in your life, and even people you went on honoring Dr. Nevos Mumba and Bishop Nakandu,
yes,
Joshua Banda, Ngambi, Pastor Ngambi, and all the church fathers. But not just because they have titles, but because of the impact you felt they had made. And now you are doing that for women that have contributed to other women's growth.
Yes.
What informs your doing that? Why are you doing that? Why do you dip your feet in such waters?
I believe that honor, gratitude is what really places you on the right track. When you have gratitude for the things that have happened. Now, I earlier on said that I was ordained and disordained. A lot of women face a lot of challenges. These are unsung heroes. These are women who are trailblazers. These are pioneers.
In very patriarchal spaces.
Yes.
The church is one of the most patriarchal places.
Yes, the church is it's something. It's male dominated, even up to now. But these women, trailblazed. These women pioneered. They started women's ministries when it was so difficult to do that. They are running churches, which has been so difficult to do and to be accepted. These women have gone to into compounds to look after orphans. There's a woman in particular who has even gotten some people who have mentally challenged, the albinos, looking after, that particular ministry that other people don't want to do, because many people think like ministry is about having a big church and commanding thousands and all that. But these are unsung heroes, women who have contributed. Today young ladies are finding it very easy to step up and say, I'm prophetess.
Because they made way for them.
Because they made way. So it's been a burden for me to just celebrate these women on my birthday. I think when you grow older, the meaning of birthday changes from I want to what can I do?
Difference am I
yes,
making?
what difference am I making? It's no longer about, it's like it develops even beyond difference, but to significance. Like,
That's right.
Being significant in something that you're
Moving
doing.
from success to significance.
From success to significance, yes. And so on the 17th of April, this is just what I want to do. Of course, we've got other daughters who have come on board and other sons that have come on board, so we can celebrate these women. We don't want to come and write long speeches when they are dead, on Facebook. Oh, she blessed me. Oh, this woman did this. We want to say it now. So that day, we are going to tell them. That day, we are going to read their success story. We're going to tell their stories. And so this is an historic event. It has never happened, where history of these women is going to be written whilst they are still alive. And I'm putting up all their profiles. I'm putting up all the things that they've done. And it's going to be in a book. We are going to profile it so that generations to come, the young ladies, my grandchildren are going to read about this woman called, Mrs. Ingambi, Prophetess Elfrida Faith. They're going to read, oh, there was such a woman. This is 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and they are going to read the history of how a woman transitioned from just being in the kitchen to being on the pulpit and to be a co-worker to accomplish, God's work.
As we wrap up tonight, time is so short, oftentimes. Somebody's watching. You are between two generations.
Yes.
I like what you've just said, by the way, because when I come into professional women, market space, and all that, I see a lot that push. And the church women are doing a lot, because your generation and the generation below or behind, they're pushing in society. They are doing the business summit expo in May, I think. Is it April or May now? And you are doing something in the spiritual side, and that just is a joy to hear. They are doing something, the first of its kind business expo at East Park.
Okay.
And you are doing something out there, taking all these women, honoring them, celebrating them. I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So this is the spiritual space, which oftentimes people forget, because they say, suffer Jesus. Jesus, keep them poor, keep them humble, we will keep them poor. So you are saying, God, see your children, we celebrate them.
Yes.
If you are looking at somebody now, we're going home, what is it you are leaving us with? That you are intergenerational, this generation, that generation, you're like in the middle now. If I want to become like you and to leave a legacy and live a life of significance, what should I be thinking of doing as we close?
Okay, it's basically to know that wherever you are, you need to start from there.
You need to start from where you are.
You need to start from where you are. As a Pentecostal, we are too much into the future to claim the future.
We live in the future and forget now.
And forget now. And sometimes you can be trapped in your past. The past, you can learn from it, but you need to be present. What can I do now? There is COVID. Okay, so what is happening? So what I was thinking about in 2019 and what I must be thinking about now, I need to read the trends. What is going on? What is happening? What can I do to remain relevant and never at any moment to think like life has, cut you off? Whatever has happened, there's a lesson behind. Whether you stopped school in grade 9, whether you got pregnant before getting married, whatever story that you have, you need to package that story. It is in that story where passion develops. I always say this, that the gift that you have, when you add value to that gift, it becomes your worth. And when worth is developed, that becomes your wealth.
That's right.
And your wealth becomes your legacy. So wherever you are, as you're listening to me right now, I want you to know and to challenge your life that you can start from there. Question is, what is it that you're supposed to do? Look out for a mentor. Look out for a coach who can help you, push you into what you're supposed to become, because procrastination is what has caused you to be where you are. But with other people in your life, you can make it. Look at me. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I wouldn't know that I would be here, but I dreamt today. And I've dreamt 20 years from now. If you could open my brain to see the things, by the way, I'm going back to do an MBA at
Fantastic.
Zurich. I want
Fantastic.
to do this one, which speaks to the skill, because there's something I want to challenge myself. I want to leave a bigger legacy, not
Awesome.
with what I was thinking. When I came across this world class, MBA, I want to do it. So I'm going back to school. So my 1 year is going to be very, very, impactful. And I can do it. Who said 50 is being old? 50 is just beginning life.
50 is the new 30.
It's a new 30, so yeah.
We'd like to thank you for coming and thank you for the book.
Yes.
That's the book, and I want everybody to please, every woman, every young girl, go look for that book from Dr. Nelly Kangwa, and she's going to be signing, so get in touch with her. Doctor, we want to thank you for joining us today, for sharing your experience. It has more been about talking about very progressive women today and how to become that, and the opportunities. I think that's what this has highlighted to us, the opportunities. You've been a life coach on this tonight, and I think we appreciate it. You have come from discrimination, you've come from the place where the woman was treated, and you wish to be a boy. But today we are glad you're a woman.
Oh yes,
because
10
now
times,
you're
even if I had to
helping
die. Yeah.
the boys, the girls, the men, the women to actualize. You say your life is to rescue
Yes.
destinies
Yes.
and to help build up dreams. And we thank God that you keep building your ability and capabilities to remain relevant, because you say you must remain relevant. You must be aware of your environment and
Yes.
remain relevant
Yes.
and keep adding value.
Yes.
Because that is what a woman is. She's a person that evolves. She's a person that is limitless. She's a person that can become whatever she wants to be, if only she will find mentors, people that have walked the path.
Exactly.
And she can go on that path. You don't have to suffer it.
No,
You can
no.
follow people that have gone through.
Yes.
We celebrate you for being childlike. We celebrate you for building your capacity and
Thank you.
ability. We celebrate you for building more women to be more empowered, to be more self-actualizing, and totally determined to succeed. We know what work you're doing, and Zambia, we celebrate you. We thank you for coming, and we ask that you continue to evolve, because the better you get, the better we get.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, we've been talking to Dr. Nelly Kangwa, a mother, a wife, a really brilliant wife, a student, a mentee, a teacher, an educationist, a pastor, and most of all, a person that rescues other people's broken destinies. We've been talking about her life, and she has helped us to see, have a feel of what she actually does, that has brought her global recognition, even at the UN. And we thank God for her representing Zambia, waving the flag of Zambia. It hasn't been about her work, it has been about you. And we thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, same time, we'll bring you another fabulous, you don't want to miss tomorrow, another fabulous story of another successful, achieving, dynamic woman. In this year we celebrate women. I know the Women's Month ends on the 31st today, but we will not stop until we have covered the 31, because we started on the 8th. So let us see who comes next. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Doc, God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.